Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming to our first anniversary of the Department of Innovation and Performance. Thank you, Mayor Peduto, for coming as well. This is just a time for us to not only celebrate the fact that we survived our first year, but also yes. But also reflect a little bit in terms of how well we've done and how much more we have to go. So I just have a couple of slides to share with us today, but I like to just thank you, all of you, for doing just a wonderful job and for maintaining the highest standards and representing us within the city and throughout. So on our birthday, exactly 1 year ago today, we were confirmed by Council on Bill 53 to become Innovation and Performance. And this was per the Mayor's vision, but special thanks goes out to Council, particularly Councilman Kraus, President, as well as our Performance and Committee Chairwoman, Councilwoman Harris, for really driving this. And this was a really important moment for us because this meant that we became institutionalized. We became embedded into city code, and we were no longer just within the mayor's office, which, as great as that is, that means at any point a future mayor could just abolish us at any point in time, and it didn't institutionalize to the same extent that we have a real budget, we have real obligations, we have real accountability within city government. So it was really important that we became part of Bill 53, and this is the reason why we have to celebrate this. It makes us a full-fledged department. It makes us accountable to the people. It makes us accountable for the department. But what does this mean? What does it mean becoming City Information Services and transforming it into Innovation and Performance? Is it just a matter of changing our website? Do you guys remember this? Yes. So this was our old City Information Systems website, and thanks to the web team, to transform it into real information or innovation and performance. It wasn't just us cutting and pasting and copying and replacing CIS into I&P. It depended on all of you to accept this change, and it depended on all of you to really move forward on a new department. And that meant taking internal day-to-day firefighting operations that we've historically been doing in terms of just replacing computers, changing passwords, internal operations of backup support to the departments, into really driving the vision and having that external engagement to the public, adding additional services, broadening our portfolio. But keep in mind, at the end of the day, for the most part, we had the same number of people in our team and the same services. So that meant that it meant to you expanding your horizon, expanding your job portfolio to really take us forward. We're still not perfect. There's still a lot of things that we still have to do, but this was a major step in terms of that institutional change, in terms of that cultural change. So we started off when we made the department change to just establishing the baseline. You know, what was done? How was it done? Who did it? You know, understanding just a baseline portfolio in terms of our inventory, our process, our people, and our knowledge. And then we set about just questioning basic assumptions. Why is it done this way? Just because it was done this way, does it mean that it always has to be done this way? That kind of thinking allowed us to push a little. And with that, we changed what needed to be changed, and we kept what needed to be kept the same. We didn't change just to change. And that allowed us to really move forward around 3 objectives and 1 vision. These 3 objectives that I'm going to go through next was a collection of retreats that we had with our management team over the course of the year. It wasn't just established by me, as in I just dictated it. It was something that our management team, by a collection of all of you, really honed into and really owned by the end. The first one was around technological advancement. Many of you are familiar with this. But this is a key point, because we started with city information systems, it was a recognition that technology was seen more as a means rather than an ends. You weren't just having a silver bullet solution, or you weren't just buying a software to drive magic or change. It was really thinking what was the most suitable technology and what kind of technology could really drive the solution. And with that, the first area that we looked at was client relations. This is an area that was led by Christine Rice and Sante Turner. whether it was through public safety or the other departments. It was us trying to support city-wide departments into improving their process. A couple things that I like to note. You can see, and you probably felt it through the course of the year, that the number of ticket requests that we had even within the course of the year has expanded. Yet the quality of our service has improved, not by increasing the number of people, but by actually empowering the number of people that are working with us and giving them better training and documentation. And that's a credit to all of you, because that was system-wide through our department, especially with Christine and Sante's leadership. The first thing that we did was expand our help desk hours, and that was a credit to the help desk. We expanded for 12 hours, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Again, not because we added more people, but because the team of 4 people just negotiated and staggered their time into working what was needed for those hours. It was them empowering themselves to decide who needs to work when in order to support the system. The second thing we did was really trying to provide first-level, first-degree support. So the moment that I pick up the phone, I can get a higher chance of support at that point in time rather than it being circulated up food through the tech channels. That's what I want as a customer, and that's what you want in terms of your process. So that helped us with a faster completion rate. Another thing that we really started to instill, and this is also with 311, is that the calls could be transferred, it could be monitored, and it could be recorded. And that really empowered us to look at our customer service, that empowered us to look at the call quality and the volume. And finally, all this documentation and training led into better and more efficient and faster service. We're still not perfect. We still have to improve in terms of our completion rate dates. We still have to improve in terms of the number of requests that we can serve within the first point of contact. But basically, the volume of ticket requests shows that people are reaching out to us and that they are asking for better tech support. The second area is led by Gwen Moore in financial systems. This is actually what I think Reggie does when he tells me that he's working on telecommunications. I think he's doing this. But in all honesty, it's what we did was pretty remarkable feat in terms of, you know, the networks, the telecommunications, the telephone lines. All that was done basically by one person for the very, very long time. And we really needed to support and document that. And not only did we do that with telecommunications, we started doing that with software inventory. Each year, the city spends about $10 million in software. The problem was that different departments would buy software. They would use 6 modules, but buy 30. They would have licenses for 30, but then only have 2 people that know how to use it, and then 1 person would leave the city. And there was just a disparate connect in terms of especially city-wide enterprises in terms of what can be done to support software. And through Gwen's leadership, we've really started to consolidate that. So before we buy software now, you actually have to go through us in terms of what software is available. Is that actually the best way to solve it? Is there another thing out there that we already have that could help us? And that starts the process in terms of department consultant. When your computer is broken, is that, should we just replace the computer? Or is there another way to solve or meet your needs? You know, those are kind of the questions that break the assumptions that we go to. And beyond the department consultant, though, we've really been leading and supporting in the training. And we've been working with personnel on this in City University. So before 2014 and 2013, and before that, a lot of the IT classes were handled up here in terms of Microsoft support, Gmail, Google, etc. What we found is that through user surveys and feedback was that that was a very inefficient process. The number of people that actually went through the training versus the number of people that actually got something out of it was not as well developed. And then through that, working closely with personnel, we implemented online training. so that there will be continuous feedback to develop and improve on the types of training and the quality of training that was given. And it was more efficient, ultimately. And we just finished our first class of Microsoft training earlier this month, which really sets the standard for future online training. Resilient networks. Sylvia Harris is the one who's leading this, and it's with her team of network analysts 3 that are actually work 24/7, around the clock, supporting our systems, supporting our networks. If things go down, they're the first point of contact. This includes things that go down in the middle of the night, includes things that go down during weekends, holidays, everything. You have a team of 3 people supporting citywide networks. And not only supporting city-wide networks, during the course of this year, they have substantially increased the storage space and the bandwidth of our systems. They've expanded into Wi-Fi, especially if you see here on the 6th floor and on the 5th floor, without additional costs. And they've upgraded the data center as part of our resilient network. If anything should happen, if this building should melt, how quickly can the city government function and bounce forward? This part of resilience plan is something that's critical as we think about our systems and operations, and something that Sylvia and her team have been working very closely on going forward. The second area that we focus on is performance excellence. This is a new area, obviously, but it's a real growing point to the fact that we are using data, and it's driven by thoughtful analysis and public engagement, and that leads to quality of life and an improvement overall in terms of our point. Stacy Hill is on the front line of this in terms of managing that, along with James Sloss, really thinking about how to service and support and just keep the department functioning. This is something that you might not think about every day, but if something happens, you will feel it. Bills get paid, you get paid. Department is just running smoothly because our administration team is all around and doing everything. But even with that, they've done a lot of things in terms of pushing administration process-wise. They've updated our procedures, many of which were adopted citywide after we adopted them within our department, from our waste policy to our recycling policy to our electronic communications policy. They are in charge of onboarding and offboarding staff members as we come in, especially as many of you are new. There's a huge log of paperwork that is required for you to transition and come and work for the city. We also implemented performance check-ins for all our managers this year. So the whole management team was accountable to us, not only in terms of giving feedback on how they were doing for the year, what they would like to do next year, and what kind of additional insight or feedback they like to see in terms of their performance, in terms of their delivery, and in terms of their outcome. We've also streamlined our organization, as you know. We've allowed for more development tracks. So now, if you join the help desk, you can move on to a Network Analyst 1, then a Network Analyst 2, and then a Network Analyst 3. That kind of streamline of career development track was unimaginable before. And we're starting to do that with the rest of the different positions as we move forward, rewriting different job descriptions, which is tedious, but something that's necessary that allows you to know that if you do something well, you will be able to move up and be shown the path. One of the things I also need to give you credit for is that we mandated within this department that every employee take online training class. Regardless of whatever the class is, you need to take it on your own time, during your lunch breaks, during your other breaks, but you are required to work with your manager to take a class. And we bought a subscription in order for you to do that. And I commend all of you. So we at least have 63% completed an online class at this point in time, 55 hours that you've contributed to your own career development. And that's an incredible feat, because I can mandate that, but at the end of the day, you're the one who has to take the class. And we've been able to show that completion rate. And finally, we've done some additional features in terms of our hardware inventory, calculated our technical assets, how best to not only buy them, use them, but also dispose them through the online auction. We've made several transfers through the online auction and then has supported the general fund. And we started calculating our carbon with our travel. We're the first department to start calculating carbon that's associated with travel. So within the course of 2014, we have contributed 43 metric tons of carbon with our travel, with 24 trips. Something that we're sensitive to, and something that reflects not only the pure financial costs of travel, but something that also plays an effect in terms of our environmental considerations. 311 with Wendy Urbanik as the manager and leading the team. These two charts are something that I think is really resonates with the team and where we're going with the team. So clearly you can see that between 2013 and 2014, there has been a huge increase in the number of service requests that have come through 311. That includes emails, phone calls, tweets, voicemails, etc., that have really galvanized the team into picking up more service requests. However, that quality or service has not decreased because the call abandon rate, the number of calls that we aren't able to accept because we're busy, have actually decreased to under 5%, which is a target. So despite increases in the service request, the call abandon rate, or our service to provide residents, has increased or improved over time. And going forward, that would only improve with our new CRM, which is going to come in play. This will allow for more mobile application. It will allow for better reporting and allow for more on-the-ground work across the departments. And so Wendy is now not only working on implementing the CRM, but working with the other departments to integrate it within their operating systems. On top of that, we're thrilled to be hosting the National 311 Conference this May, which means that over 100 different 311 centers will be coming to Pittsburgh across the country to learn from us and for us to share and learn from them. Communications technology under David Feiner. And so this is a brand new team unit and something that we've thought long and hard and went through a very extensive interview and application process on. But it basically meant that we wanted to integrate the web team, the cable team, and really push forward around social media and print, so you have unified communications. Knowing that the demographics of Pittsburgh are different and reflect that. The people who tweet are not the same people that watch the city cable channel. And so we as the city, when we send out communications, it needs to be consistent and unified across. And this is, great things have been happening in this area. Our web team, which is a power of 3, have been really moving forward in terms of third-generation websites and upgrades. You might not know that in addition to our City of Pittsburgh website, pittsburghpa.gov, they manage other authorities' websites as well. And so there's a lot of traffic in terms of not just the maintenance of it, but the content and the quality control that comes with it. And they're going to move forward on third generation with better user design experience and more integrated service for our residents. Our cable team has been moving forward in terms of not only upgrades around our equipment, but more independent programming. And pretty soon, we will have more independent new programming within the first 2 months, or first 2 or 3 months of 2014 or 2015 than all of 2014. And this is pretty remarkable, given the amount of different shoot-ins, the diversity of shoot-ins that the web or the cable team have had to do, and we've been down staff through the first couple months. The final area is sustainable leadership. And this is really trying to think about long-term preservation around environmental and social resources within the built and natural environment. And there are 2 main areas behind this. This is really led by Grant Irvin, who is our sustainability manager, and really driving sustainability both within the city, but also throughout. And in fact, I should say that this team has done so much that it's hard to actually believe that it's a team of 2. What they've done through the course of the year is they've benchmarked 10 different benchmarking performance standards between local, national, and international. We placed second in the Green Workplace Challenge, which is pretty remarkable. And we hope to beat the county this year, actually, who were first place last year. We are moving forward into the third version of the Climate Change Action Plan and the Greenhouse Gas Inventory. What this means is the previous two climate change action plans were a collection of stakeholders from the community, the universities, etc. The city was involved, but this is the first time the city has really taken the lead and driving climate change action into an integrated level that not only redefines an updated greenhouse gas inventory emission, but also includes resilience, especially given the fact that we are one of the Rockefeller resilient cities that have been placed internationally. So we're going to be incorporating resilience thinking and the resilience framework within the climate change action plan. We've been doing a lot of work around the building and fleet evaluation, especially around the performance in terms of energy and fuel. And we've been working with city planning in terms of the Eco-Innovation District in Startup Town and really thinking about how the integration of sustainability policies can go into practice. Further reforms were done within green infrastructure, green space, policy reforms around garage, lighting, waste, LED street lighting through James Sloss is really going forward, especially working with Department of Public Works as well as Carnegie Mellon in terms of not only getting the inventory of green LED lighting, but really moving forward in terms of how we could have every single street light in the city be powered by LED and have additional benefits in terms of wireless, digital infrastructure, and sensors within the LED lights. Further work around internal education and practice. You can see it even within this floor in terms of how you're now separating waste at different points scattered throughout. And then just our broader external engagement from the different nonprofit groups, from the different community foundations. This has been really a driving force in sustainability that has never happened to this level or to this extent before. And data and analytics. This is an area led by Laura Meixel, and it's been really incredible in terms of what was done given what we were before. It started with us passing the open data legislation, which made all data open by default. That was non-confidential and non-public. And since then, we've really convened the open data management team and are on the course of releasing the first set of data publicly. Another aspect is the partnership, very close partnership that we've had with the county as well as with Carnegie Mellon and University of Pittsburgh to really launch the regional data center so it's not owned by any one entity and really moves into that collective ownership, not only to release the data, but actually you see how the data can be applied. Data like technology, I think, is really useful tools, but tools in which it will only be useful if you can apply it and take it forward. So it's not just releasing the open data just to release the open data, it's the application of it, both in terms of the raw data for development, but also for public consumption to change decision making or to drive decision making. We were also very lucky and to be one of the Code for America cities this year, which was allowed us to bring 3 fellows here, the 3 of which are here this month, to look at procurement reform and to really drive how to make doing business in Pittsburgh easier, better, and more efficient. And it marks working very closely with OMB to drive the year of procurement and the many legal, policy, design, technical aspects that are involved with it. But I would be remiss to say that despite all these different areas and all these different managers doing amazing work, at the end of the day, we do a lot of just essential operations that don't get recognized, that aren't, you know, in newspapers or whatnot. But it's just work that we're doing because we are professional and because it needs to get done. So this is Reggie at 6 a.m. This is the team at Carnegie Library doing user interface or user feedback, the web team. And this is just work that we're doing all around, each and every one of you. I didn't have time to put all the pictures, but it's a reflection of everyone just doing their work and stepping up and, you know, working together. And this is also where we thank the other departments in the city. You know, I mentioned a few, but we work with every single department, and they've been very helpful from the director level down in supporting us, as we are a very young department, and us not only working in partnership with many of these projects, but guiding us along the way. And that's a credit to them as well. A little bit in terms of our external engagement, many of this you're familiar with. Obviously, with the Department of Public Works, we launched the Snowplow Tracker. With Public Works and City Parks, we have our shelter permits, online shelter permits, so we no longer have to wait in line in the City County building on one Saturday to get permits. We can just do it online and pay by credit card. Working closely with the Controller's Office and OMB, we launched Fiscal Focus Pittsburgh, which allows you to see the budgeting at different visualizations and search accordingly. We have PGH Streets that we supported with Still City Code Fest as one of these apps where you can check, dependent on what your address is, the trash pickup, recycle and pickup, and yard pickup easily, depending on the day. All of these, you know, some of these we are leading, some of these we are supporting, but at the end, the vision is still the same. We are supporting greater and better city services and helping to support the public. This side reports says some of the stuff that we have been leading on. Next Door, which we launched earlier last year, at this point has been signed up by over 10,000 residents across 79 neighborhoods. Which means that, and we've sent over 700 notices, both at the city-wide level and at the neighborhood level. You know, so our ability to communicate to our residents and our ability to have the residents engage with each other was just helped a little bit better through Next Door. Engage Pittsburgh was our online social media platform, which allowed us to just ask questions and feedback. We had over 8,000 unique visitors on Engage Pittsburgh and about 900 registered users on Engage Pittsburgh, just asking questions, getting feedback as another way to engage the public. Obviously, you might have heard that I talk about Twitter a few times. Between PGH I&P, our department Twitter, and PGH 311, which is our 311 Twitter, we have almost 4,500 followers. And of the 311 Twitter handle, about 1,500 service requests were taken on 311 through Twitter. 311 has released about 4,600 tweets over the course of the year. You know, that level of engagement. Even PGH I&P, over the course of the last 28 days, has had 62,000 impressions. And so what that means is that the amount of tweets that we're just releasing is one thing, but the amount of tweets and then calculating that engagement rate, that interaction with the public, is really moving forward to unprecedented levels. And so between this outward service, continuous asking questions and engagement, and then just giving information out, we've really gone out in terms of civic engagement. And then we've just done a lot of events. I think at the end of the day, through our management team and then through all of you, every week or so, almost, we're out in the community, judging at a hackathon, hosting a small business fair, going and doing mentoring with our students and education around sustainability. We're out there, and it's a credit to us because this is stuff outside of work. This is just us getting out there in the community and being part of the community and supporting accordingly. And with that, you know, we've been really pushing forward around our innovation roadmap, which is our strategic blueprint to drive innovation to the next level and make it more inclusive. And the point of this is it goes beyond trends. We really need a strategic plan to list our priorities that's driven by city leadership, but collectively owned and is a living document. And part of that is really engaging with the different stakeholders within the innovation community and mapping that out. We hosted at least 6 roundtables this year, mayor's roundtables, around clean tech, maker movement, the accelerator startups, co-working spaces, tech startups, and venture capitalists and angel investors. all of which are, giving them appreciation and acknowledgement that innovation can happen everywhere, not just in the city, and it doesn't need to be led by the city, but also asking them, what is the role of the city in driving innovation? How can we support you going forward? What are some things that we can do together to really help? And finally, we've had some really, really good support with our university partnerships. This is one of those things that would have never happened without our strong local universities and the presence that they have in the city. We've signed MOUs with both CMU and Pitt to start that engagement, and they've provided capacity support. We've been lucky to have a number of interns support us during the course of the year. But they've also been able to provide some consultant services. We had some capstones and systems projects that supported us on, a public feasibility on our community Wi-Fi, clean technology, a property database, ongoing work in terms of evaluating our systems, our operations, work that we wouldn't be able to do if not for a dedicated team of students in order to do that. Through CMU's Metro 21 funds, we've been able to pull in about $1.5 million that's dedicated towards faculty and staff research to help us in terms of our city operations and services. And through that, we've also been able to attract some talent and investments. And so the university partnerships are a key component in terms of allowing us to not only build capacity, but also provide consultancies that we wouldn't be able to afford otherwise. Finally, just a little bit on our budget. I mean, at the end of the day, as you know, because we are under fiscal distress and there's limitations in our budget, we really have very limited resources with our funding. And I've shown you some different pie charts through the different quarter presentations, but at the end of the day, most of our budget goes into citywide services and functions. Very little goes towards technology, professional services, and support. So we have to be very lean when it comes to this. But we've been very fortunate in terms of securing fellowship funding for staffing, and we've contributed or led in terms of grant funding. Almost $2 million that we've been able to secure, as well as pro bono consultancy, travel support, and really tapping into national and international memberships all across. And then it's the team. Our team, compared to, I did an evaluation from other technology departments, and I did an evaluation, and we are a very, very lean team. At the end of the day, we don't have that many people compared to other cities, but we've been able to maintain the highest degree of professional service. And we just did some quick calculations. Collectively, we have over 450 years of service, with an average of 7 years of experience. I just like to point out a couple people that have had over a quarter of a century experience that have been with us. Stacy Hill, 36 years. Bob Means and Tom Adams, 33 years. And then John Schulte, 26 years. These people have been with us for a long time, and they really have been part of city service and operations, and without their institutional knowledge, we wouldn't be able to go where we are today. But it's also a credit to all of you. You know, given this collective years of service, change is hard. Change is really hard. If you've been doing the same thing for the same number of years, for a long time, it's very hard to accept that change. And so when the new people come in and you're able to embrace it and we're able to work together, it's a credit to all of you. And especially during periods which we had this year of extended high vacancy, when we had to find the new people to come in, and it took time to process that paperwork. That meant while we were having these high vacancy rates, you all just stepped up and just did what needed to be done in order to maintain city operations. So with that, I thank you. I also like to thank the new staff that have joined us. Almost a fifth of the people here are new staff and have been able to embrace this new culture and change and have been able to learn and meet the folks. we've also done a series of promotions from within, which is something that we really strive for as we move towards a career development track. And this is shown as we do intern to staff development. We have a couple people here that started off as interns and have since risen up through the ranks, which is a huge credit. And then there's people that we're looking throughout the city. You know, we're looking at a survey right now just to ask our other colleagues and peers, how are we doing? What do you think we should do better? That feedback is really important to us as we develop and grow. So when we ask, you know, not only thanking the people here, but also thanking the people that we work with outside this department and getting their feedback, it's a real reflection of where we need to go. So going forward, there's a lot of things around digital infrastructure and literacy, cybersecurity, data-driven decisions, user experience, strategic development. I have a whole host of projects, which I'm sure my managers will love. But it's just going to be exciting, and I know we have the team that can do it. We've made it through this first year, and I think it's just going to be easier, as the mayor notes, once we get our wheels running. And I think this is just a credit for all of us to celebrate our success, but know that we're not done, and know that we still have a lot more to go. And so with that, I leave you with our final vision, which, as all of you know, is to transform Pittsburgh into a world-class city through the intersection of technology, sustainability, and performance, and to foster a culture of people-centric innovation and accountability at all levels and sector of society. All right, thank you.
See if I can scoot by that. Well, guys, happy birthday. Yeah, it's, you know, nearly half the people in this room are either new to this department or have been promoted from within this department to a new role. And there was a lot of transition that was occurring during that first year, while at the same time trying to think of how we could really create something special. And that's what you've done. You've raised the bar beyond the expectations of what could be done in a year. You are the gears of this whole operation of city government. Every single department is reliant upon the work that you do, not only to be able to provide services to the residents, but to do it effectively, efficiently, and equitably. Meaning if we're doing it for one, we're doing it for all. And you've raised the bar on that as well. The combination of sustainability, advanced technology, performance, and putting it all into a department is unique. Other cities are now looking at Pittsburgh and the work that you're doing and saying, how can we do it like this in their cities? The new mayor of Washington, D.C., before taking the oath of office, traveled to study this department. She had been in Pittsburgh before as a younger woman, where she went to Chatham University, but she was following what was happening here, not just because it had a new name of innovation and performance, but because you guys were actually doing it. Those gears that are your symbol, like I said, that's what you are. You keep the city rolling. And a lot of times people don't even know that it's happening, but they know this. They know that there's what I call a quotient of happiness, meaning that city government should try to operate to make people's lives happy, and they never will agree to that, because they'll say government can't make me happy, it can only make me upset. But they know when they call 311, they're getting better service. They don't know that 2 years ago when they called 311, they would type it in and then pick up a phone and call a division, and then a division would put the phone down and then type it in, and then it would get called to a truck, and then the call would go back to the division, and then they would type it in, and then they'd call 311, and 311 would type it in for every single pothole. But they know now that you've been able to create a system that meshes it completely, and that in the next couple of years, they're simply going to be able to do this, and it's going to go directly to the truck. You're the ones that make that happen. And the beautiful thing about it, we don't have to copy any other city. You're creating it. You're doing it. You know, we have a visionary leader in Chief Lam, and her concerns are not only on how we're going to do all of this to be able to create that system, to create that type of a department that other cities want to look at, but how will it affect the other parts that we created? The Bureau of Neighborhood Empowerment, the neighborhoods that have been left behind, and how can this and that meet? Because when we get that to happen, watch out. That's when the full potential of this city will happen, and when city government becomes the full partner. So, 1 year in, you've knocked it out of the park, which means I expect so much more in year 2. The collaborations that you've been able to create and that you've been able to do, not just with the larger institutions, not just with the county and Carnegie Mellon and the University of Pittsburgh, but getting out in the communities and partnering with neighborhoods and people and organizations and small startups and all the other ways that your department has done it is what we need to do in every department, from public safety to public works. And you've led that example as well. The new department may have been born a year ago, but this city was waiting for it for quite a while. I just wanted to stop up today, not only get to see this presentation, but take a moment to thank each of you personally. You've done a great job. Look forward to working with you in the future. There's going to be a lot of challenges ahead, but as long as you keep pushing it, we'll keep giving it the resources, and we'll make this city the city we know it can be. Thanks, guys.
And then, of course, a birthday wouldn't be a birthday without presents. So the first present is a framed certified copy of our bill that makes us innovation and performance. So we will be hanging this up in terms of our front desk area, so for all to see. I expect you to memorize this. I'll be asking. And then the second present, which you can pick up from Jim and Debra, are your t-shirts.
Nice.
Okay, so everyone will get a t-shirt that you can wear. So thank you again so much, and keep up the great work. Thank you.